seemingly perfect harmony, until one day a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix.
Welcome to round 7 for tier 2 with yours truly, Darkness. Today we're racing around Kota in the lovely sunshine that the US has on a track that murders your tires. That'll be fun. Before we get into it though, we are affiliated with Rogue Energy, so if you use code PHX at checkout, you get 10% off of your order. And if we go back to the title screen, my PC, OBS, please, thank you. I am joined by the one and only Suffocating, aka Ollie. Hello.
Hello. How
It's
are we
race
today?
day for Tier 2, Tier 1, and the Miami Grand Prix.
No.
So much going on. And we've already got... Oh, game capture's not working. Oh, no, it's working. There we go.
We all good?
Yeah, we good. We Gucci. I can't believe I just said that. I deserve to just... to leave. Oh, for some reason it says Nadim's on mediums, but I know that's definitely not the case.
He did the same in Tier 5.
Oh, of course he did. Oh, what? He is on mediums?
Yeah.
Why is it on overcast? Did I say it was... Oh, yeah, it is overcast. Yeah.
It is overcast, it's overcast or sunny.
So, okay, so it's overcast or sunny. I got the weather slightly wrong. My bad. Still mostly correct. Why is the game so quiet? I don't like this. Like, right when you're driving from the cockpit view, you go deaf. Which is now the view it's given me. So now I'm going to go deaf. But then if I go to this view, which is the outside view, the broadcast view, quiet as hell.
Yep.
Thank you, game. But yeah, Aston Martin are out on mediums. That's very odd. But oh well.
Probably
Ollie.
setting a bit of a banker.
12 drivers on the grid with a championship battle between Webby and Panos. Webby currently in the lead. Webby's your driver as well, and he's currently in the lead. What are your race predictions? Of course, putting Webby on pole for qualifying.
I'm not biased, but I think Webby's gonna win.
No, for qualifying, who do you think is going to come out in this top 10 shootout? Well, top 12.
Ooh. You know what? I won't be biased. I think Panos is matchup.
I think I might have to agree. It's a track that murders your tires, and you will have a lot of back end. You'll have a lack of back end control in the second sector from a few of the corners because they just do not like the car at all. I mean, no one likes the car. No one likes the game. Going off track though. But I think we could have the potential of an Aston Martin 1-2, but certainly at least 1 or 2 Ferraris up there, or Ferrari sisters, so Ferrari or Alfa Romeo. But I do think Lobster or Lewis could be in contention for the second row without a doubt. Let's
sure.
have a go around with Nadim, who's opted to go for the mediums. Guest appearance from Lewis. I mean, I would love to have that. I mean, I probably won't be talking right now if he did that.
Yeah, I think I'd freak out. I was about to say his Mousy has set a purple lap, but he's the first one that actually
He's the first
setting
one
a lap.
line, yeah. Now the tyre strategy. So you raced in Tier 3 yesterday. What strategy did you go for with you and your teammate?
So the game opts to give you a medium-hard strategy. That is the default. Me and Joe, my teammate, decided to go for the opposite of that, so we went hard mediums.
And I'm guessing that was the optimal choice, considering that you won the race, did you? I can't remember, actually.
I did win the race, and my teammate got third, almost second. So close.
Impressive drive. Mousy so far the fastest lap, 134.4. Nero's close behind. Oh, Webby close behind now. The 134.5. So now 8 tenths. Is that 8 tenths? No, that's 12 tenths. 12
Nadim coming up to
hundredths.
the line.
Splitting the two. Nadim crossing the line in third. Third on mediums? Excuse you, sir?
Then we have Alamin, the reserve driver for Ferrari.
I'm so upset. I've only got one reserve for today. No pressure, Armin, but it's all down to you after this banker
Ow.
lap. Let's see what you could put in for a proper hot lap now. Those softs surely would be fired up today. How are you doing today, Tactical?
As Call Me Panos is coming up to the line.
Oh, 133.0. Not only the first driver to go to 133s, but he hits it bang on the mark for a 133.092. That is impressive. As going to Lewis, he unfortunately spins going through the second sector. Let's have a look now. We've got SeaTac Pulse in the Mercedes car, the no side pod car. Honestly, I still like the car. I really hope they don't remove the side pod design, because they're always unique in some way.
Yeah, the most important question though, 22 livery or 23 livery?
23 livery, all the way. The black looks so much nicer for Mercedes.
Yeah, it does. It fits so well.
99% certain. Ollie, can you just have a look at the settings quickly to make sure the game time is correct?
I won't be able to check the game time, I don't think.
You'll be able to check if it's approximate, realistic, or anything like that.
Realistic and approximate.
That's approximate for the weather, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, the time's right then. I guess then for qualifying for Kota, it is roughly towards the end of the day, isn't it? And then the race is like midday.
And qualifying the sun down the main the back straight is blinding.
It is, yeah. Who's coming down towards the main straight? We got Panos, but Panos is going into Le Pits.
Over 9,000 is on the main back straight at the moment.
Oh my god, that is blinding.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in this game, you don't need to worry about visors, but oh my god. That is painful.
It's always been the case.
I know it's... yeah, but I actively avoid racing around Kota because I'm terrible. Whereas you managed to cope brilliantly and win the race.
Wow. The sun isn't actually as bad in the race. I will admit that.
It's still there. It's still annoying. Can we turn off the sun? So, as we predicted, we'd have a Ferrari or Ferrari sister. So we got Webby in third place. We got Aston Martin's there. But we completely forgot about Mousy. How dare we forget about Mousy? Up into second place. He is a very quick driver.
Yeah.
And we completely forgot he was there. Who's that there? I think.
Oh
Lewis
no,
is
fishy
going...
spun.
Oh no. Not going Alpine's way so far. But I say that they have a car in fifth place, so we'll have to see. We got Lewis on an outlap. See how he can improve. But before we go to Lewis, let's go to 9,000. Hasn't set a lap just yet. Teammates up into third place. Can he join alongside him on the second row? Or could he have the potential to go onto the front row? We'll have to see now. Into this first sector. Left, right, left, right. Honestly, the most annoying corners for me personally. Take Maggots and Beckett's, but US version. Down the hill and up the hill. Well, I'm fairly certain one of these corners is actually a blind... Yeah, here we go. This is the blind left-hand onto the straight. Be very careful.
It looks like...
It looks like...
Oh,
we're going to have team orders here. We might have team orders here. That is Senor Webby ahead of his teammate. It's over 9,000, giving a brilliant tow for the driver behind. And now Webby will pull off to the side. It's over 9,000, getting a huge advantage down that back straight. We'll have to see now if he can keep his lap together. He's got a purple middle sector, so far it's doing some work. We'll have to see how he goes into this third sector now. Quick, sharp left-hander, sorry, quite a sharp left-hander, and then wide right-hander, which opens up almost flat out in 7th gear through. Oh, is this over 9,000 spins? I was about to say, it is a very tricky corner if you're not careful with how much application of throttle you have going through it. Your back end will slip. Those rear tyres, as I mentioned at the very start, your tyres die on this track, but your rears will die a lot quicker than your front tyres, fortunately. But a banker lap, at least, he'll have now a delta to race against. Hopefully those tyres can cool down whilst he goes round on this on this hot lap, sorry. Let's see, just ahead of him, I think Lewis is on a hot lap, currently 2/10 down now in the second sector.
As Mousy is coming up to the line. So...
Mousy going to improve. Oh no, Mousy's going for a second hot lap, there we go.
He's going for a second.
Lewis to the line is still down on his time, but he does improve. Enough to get up into...
Neros improves as well. Stays in 5th though. Denzel coming up to the line.
And
start his hot lap.
here's the one to keep an eye on. Nadim. He qualified on the mediums. He's now set a purple middle sector on those softs. A 1 second improvement. Currently on the line, on track for a 133.7 at the moment. So he needs to find 7/10 in this final sector. And considering he qualified on those mediums so far, I think he can do this.
Yep.
But that is a strategy I never thought I'd see anyone do, to put a banker lap on those mediums first. I mean, it's a good strategy. You save yourself a set of softs for the race. And that is a 133.4. That is a Aston Martin 1-2. Two drivers now in the 133s. Mousy third on the grid with Webby close behind on the second row. The only two drivers to be in the 134s, whilst the rest are in 135s or slower. We'll have to see now what the rest can do. Let's head on to Armin, I think, who is on a second hot lap now. First lap was a 144 banker. We'll have to see now what the Ferrari reserve driver can do. He has signed a contract for Tier 2 with Aston Martin next season. We're racing alongside the team principal, Mr. Nadim Legacy Jr. I have to see what the Bosnian duo, or the Bosnian boys as they like to call themselves, can do next season. But now, this season, they are going to battle against one another. No team orders between the two of them at all. What will happen and who will come out on top? Now, up the hill, Armin closing in. He's got two Astons in front, just ahead of him. Are they doing a... No, they're both invalidated laps. Armin with a 2/10 improvement on his previous best. Oh no, 8/10 improvement. Thank you, game, for getting it horribly incorrect. Now into the third sector. Back to the right-hander where we saw It's Over 9000 have a massive snap of oversteer, mostly because of the rears overheating, but the Ferrari managed to keep his car under control now into the final couple corners. Can't go too wide, and now last one to the line. Ferrari up into 6th place. Very good lap by Armin. A 135, sorry. Oh, right on the mark. Currently 2 seconds slower than the pole sitter, but it's still a very good lap to be starting on the third row of the grid for the race.
As Webby's coming up to the line now.
4.5 minutes remaining. Webby to the line, very tight on the exit, manages to take third place from Mousy. Very good improvement, but still, what is that? 7/10 off of the pace for at least second place. A whole second, 1.2 seconds off the pace for first place. So we'll have to see now with 4 minutes left. Webby, of course, crossing every possible bit of the track. Try and get to the pits as soon as you can. If he's got a fresh set of softs, he might be able to put in an extra lap before the end of the session. Let's have a look around. We've got Denrod. One Haas on the grid today. Denrod's currently up into 8th place, 135.3. Just 2/10 off of the pace from Nero's ahead of him. Unfortunately, only 12 drivers today. My guess will mostly come down to the fact that, you know, we're doing such an early race. Normally we race at 1700 UTC, whereas today we're racing at 14:30 UTC, so 2:30 UTC. Which the only person to blame is Miami Grand Prix, because you know, how dare they schedule their races when they like? They should schedule it around us, honestly.
Yeah.
How dare they? We
How
need
dare
to
they.
bribe them more.
Yeah.
Now as we got Denmark going into the third sector going.
Webby was on low fuel mode going into the pits.
Let's see here, we've got Denrod now crossing the line, starting his final hot lap for the session. Well, potential final lap for the session. Though he does have enough time to mess this one up and come back in. Coming back across the line, sorry, for another hot lap. Now into the first sector. McLaren out of the way for him to get through into the... I should find out the name of this corner, to be honest, but the Maggott and Beckett equivalent for the American track. Does appear to have a Red Bull ahead of him as well. We'll have to see if Mousy will give a competitor a tow. I mean, I've done that in the past by accident. Or is he going to be far enough ahead that he doesn't need to worry about it? Now down the blinding straight with this point of view, you can see how much... Oh my god, Denrod getting dangerously close to Mousy, trying to take a tow there. But I think he would have lost out more time there for swerving to the left than sticking on his line. Into the third sector, he is 1/10 slower than his previous best. So certainly trying to grab a tow from the Red Bull ahead did not help him at all. Now into this long right-hander, we've seen many spin already. And it appears Denrod has kept his car very stable through that corner. And now coming towards the final corner, will he be able to keep his car within the limits? Keeps it well within the limits, more than safely across the line. And that's his 1:35.0, in fact 0.04 of a second slower than Armin. Two drivers so close to one another, but unfortunately on different rows of the grids, just by a mere 0.04 of a second. Got Panos now crossing the line. He's going to be going in for a hot lap. We got Nadim, looks to be going slowly. I think he's warming up to go for another hot lap before the end of qualifying now. If this yellow flag could go away, please. Why do we have a yellow flag out? We have a very slow It's Over 9000 staying out of the way of all the drivers ahead of him. That's fair enough. Webby across line, 0.3 improvement, apparently, to the game. I don't understand. It's Over line... Oh, sorry, Lobster retiring from the race, unfortunately. I guess must have had a spin there. His car's still driving.
And so the checkered flag is now waving.
So we got 3 cars on a hot lap. Is where Mousy on a hot lap? I believe he is. No, Mousy's got invalidated laps. So he will be starting 4th if someone doesn't knock him down. Nero's is on a hot lap, currently 1.3 seconds slower than his previous best. Armin's on a hot lap. No, and Armin's got invalidated. Denrod, I believe, is definitely on a slow lap. He's now at 1:30 in the third sector. C-Tax in the pits already. It's Over 9000 was on the sideline. And Fushy Wushy's pushing it. Fushy Wushy still is yet to set a lap. So it comes down to this time, to this lap. Is he going to be able to get further up the grid, or is he going to stay at the bottom there as Panos improves on his time at 1:32.9, the first 32.9 of the session so far. Now as we go along with Fushy Wushy round the final corner, keeping it well within the limits. Across the line, it is a 1:35.7, puts him up into 10th place, still an improvement. Nadim, is he going slowly? Nadim's invalidated, that's unfortunate. As Webby is still going round on a hot lap. Into the final corner, tacking the final curb quite a lot. Unfortunately, does not improve enough to gain a position. There's Nadim sitting on the sideline. And it's Over 9000, final to cross the line. No improvement there, unfortunately, because he was on the sidelines waiting for other drivers to get through. But I think potentially, whilst he may have been sitting on the sideline to let other drivers through, he could be playing the team game there, sacrificing his last lap. Did he actually do that?
Yeah, he was.
I'm loving Alfa Romeo so far this season. I mean, I say that we've only got 2 races to go, but that is fun. Gotta love the team orders.
I have faith in both of my drivers.
Good, good. I have faith in my reserve driver. But that concludes qualifying. I mean, we almost hit the nail on the head for who's going to qualify where. I mean, no, in fact, we did for top 3. I said Aston Martin and at least one of the Ferrari or Ferrari sisters, and it's an Aston Martin 1-2 with a lap record by Panos and Webby in 3rd place. But Webby in 3rd place, 4 tenths off the pace from the team, 8 tenths off the pace from Panos. That was an insane lap. The first 132 of the day, and we'll have to see if anyone in Tier 1 can beat that. Of course, Tier 1 is our no assist league after this. But that is impressive.
Extremely impressive.
Still, I'm not an Alfa Romeo TP, but I'm sure you're very upset, and I can feel the pain. It's over 9,000 hitting that purple middle sector, and then unfortunately in that right-hander, his rears just completely got the better of him, and he spun.
Yep.
I think that could have been a lap for at least the top 5, maybe top 6. Definitely had the pace for it.
Yeah,
we'll have to see
definitely would have been a good
how
lap.
many laps is it? 26, is it?
28.
28 laps. So I have to see now in 28 laps who is going to have the strategy right and who is going to come out on top to be able to say to all of the rest that we did it better. I would be surprised if we saw any two-stoppers, but I highly doubt, considering how much the softs would be on fire and how the wear is, that anyone would try and go for a two-stopper onto softs. If anything, I reckon we might be able to see a hard, medium, if they choose to. I can't get words out, man. What are the words I'm thinking of? I don't know. Let's have a look at the strategies. And now there's one I didn't expect. So the top 3 on the mediums, whilst Fushy Wushy and 10th is on the mediums. Everyone else on the hard, sorry. Everyone else on the mediums, and then Nero's on the softs. So Nero's is dedicating himself. He's sticking to a 2-stop strategy. Because as far as I'm aware, you cannot one-stop the softs to hards without risking a puncture at the end of the race. So Nero's has almost certainly chosen the 2-stopper. This will be interesting to see.
Yep.
Go on.
The one thing we might see near the end is people pitting onto softs just to try and get the fastest lap.
Oh, without a doubt. But I think Mousy will certainly get off the line quite well. We'll have to see if he'll get off the line very well, and we'll see how the hard compound tyres do. We know the hard compound tyres are very hard to warm up. You can see them all vigorously swerving left and right trying to get heat into those tyres. But we all know how terrible the game is. We also know how terrible the hard compound tyres are. And warming those up are going to be one hell of a struggle for those 4 drivers. So I think if Mousy gets this right on the line, he might have an incredible start for the first stint of the race. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm certainly going to put my prediction out there that we'll have an Aston Martin on top and the potential of an Alfa Romeo at the top as well. I think Mousy could pull off a podium place at the end of this race. As we see an attempt of a donut by Panos, but unfortunately failing quite miserably.
Could you imagine if there was damage on the formation lap?
Aston Martin would have quite a big hole in their pocket for the amount of money that would cost them.
Yep.
Welcome, Kudos, to the Tier 2 stream. I definitely didn't yawn at 4 in the afternoon. Why would I ever be tired? Ollie, would you like to take the first lap?
No, because I have
Good,
to go
you're
and do
gonna
something, so I'm gonna miss
Oh,
it.
I was gonna give it to you anyways.
I will be right back.
Now let's see what these drivers do. That is a very aggressive position. Armin still in his pit box, within his pit box area, but he's gone for a very aggressive middle position. And now 5 lights and away we go. Very slow start, but there goes Webby. Webby into the lead of the race so far into the first corner. He is clearly ahead of the 2 Aston Martins. Mousy on the inside as well. Fighting there is now the Alpine of Nero's and Nadim have collided. It is now Webby, Panos, and Mousy up into the lead. Armin in 4th place. Lewis also up a couple of positions there. Let's try and change this to position changes. Denrod a very good start up into 6th place. But so far, 2 drivers colliding. Let's go to the back of the grid here. Let's just see if any damage on either of the drivers. It doesn't appear as though there is any. But Webby into the lead of the race, starting on those hard compound tyres. He fired them up beautifully. And Panos was caught sleeping. Mousy with those medium tyres, still now just a second behind. But not as quick off the line as one would have hoped. Panos fighting back, he's going for an inside move. He's done it, he's taken the lead of the race again, and it's just been 1.5 sectors. Webby was in the lead, and now Panos takes it back. But they are still fighting. Webby still over the gearbox, all over the gearbox of the Aston Martin, refusing to give up. Of course, the opening stages, these hard compound tyres are going to have a severe amount of grip compared to the mediums behind them, but clearly they fired up their tyres beautifully for them to get off the line in such fashion to take the lead of the race. And Mousy's now 1.3 seconds back from the duo ahead of him. In fact, Mousy's in the pits. Was Mousy involved in an incident at the start of the race? Armin now promoted up into 3rd place, finishing the top 3. And Lewis up to 4th place. What on earth has happened to Mousy? He has changed, I believe... No, he's not changed his front wing. He's just pitted for the hards early already. Fushy Wushy and... No, just Fushy Wushy as well into the pits. So very interesting start already now onto the 2nd lap. Going into the 2nd sector. We've had a collision between Nadim and I believe then it was Fushy Wushy then who got into a tough kerfuffle fight. I don't know what the words are there, but into a fight with the Aston Martin. And so now Panos leads with nearly a second gap to Webby behind him, and Armin 2 seconds back. Those mediums are not doing what we all expected to do, which was to be much faster than those on the hard compound tyres. Now this is incredible. Taken a turn in the race that we never expected. And those soft compound tyres, unfortunately, at the back of the grid, Nero's, I believe, qualified higher than this. Qualified in 6th place, finds himself down into 8th place. Those softs are really not doing the work that he had hoped them to do. But he still finds himself 6.5 seconds behind at the end of this lap. DRS will be enabled. DRS opens the rear wing flap. Opening that will enable the drag reduction system. Cars can have an increase of up to, I think it's like 16 kilometers per hour more on majority of the tracks on the calendar. So it will certainly help with a lot of overtaking. We have 2 DRS straights. You've got the one on the main straight going up this hill into the sharp left-hander, as we saw as well last year for the F1 22 season. George Russell, unfortunately, going down the inside, spinning out Carlos Sainz, and he retired from the race. The second DRS straight, you got the back of the track DRS straight, as now we see Panos coming towards it, just 2 corners away. It is the longest... as Fushy Wushy now retires in the pits. It's very unfortunate to see. But as Panos now approaches it, this is an downhill, then an uphill, if I remember correctly. Downhill and then uphill DRS straight. In qualifying, you will go blind by the sun in qualifying, but fortunately in the race, it is starting off cloudy and finishing off in the sun. so drivers will not be blind just yet. Now going into this third sector, Panos has a 1.3 second gap to Webby behind him, and Armin 3 seconds down. There's a change of position here, where Lewis has dropped down, and Denrod is now up into 4th place. A very good start for the Haas driver, as he finds himself 2.5 seconds behind Armin. Ollie, you back?
I am.
You missed it. Your driver was leading the race for half a lap. Webby had an incredible start and went from 3rd to 1st before the first corner.
I'm guessing Panos overtook him.
Yeah, into the 2nd sector, he took the position back.
Okay. What happened to Nadim?
Nadim and Fushiwashi got involved in an incident coming out of the first corner, if I remember correctly, spinning them both out. Fushiwashi is now retired from the race, and Nadim has kept going. Mousy the Cheese was also involved in an incident. I believe perhaps he lost some of the front wing, is my only guess. But he had to pit, and he's now on the hard compound tyres. I would say to the end of the race, but there's no way that those hards will last.
You might risk punctures.
You'll be in dangerous territory for punctures, indeed. But now, as the race goes on, we do have DRS enabled, and we now have ourselves our individual packs. We've got our leaders comfortably ahead of everyone else. 2 seconds from Webby and Panos, 3.5 Armin to Webby, 2 seconds to Denrod and Armin. I was about to say we got a... No, we still have a DRS train fighting for 4th place between Denrod, Lewis, Lobster, Nero's, and SeaTac. It's over 9,000, is just outside that 1 second zone, and Nadim is fighting for 9th place at the moment. As Lobster's also now lost some time to Lewis just ahead of him. I say there's a DRS train, and then immediately the DRS train is broken.
Has he maybe just backed off a little?
Perhaps. I mean, they did both start on the mediums, and those mediums will surely die out quite quickly around this track. We know how much of a tyre killer the track can be, so you have to be very wary of how you use them.
Yep.
Slightly further back, we've got Nadim, who was involved in a first lap incident, first corner incident, and he's now going alongside It's Over 9,000 into the final corner with that inside line. He takes the position now up into 9th place. Unfortunate start for the Aston Martin team principal, but I do trust that he certainly has the pace and the confidence behind himself and the team to keep pushing and find their way back on top.
It looks like Mousy's had another spin. Must be hot tyres.
Circuit of the Americas. What can I say? It's a horrible track for tyres.
Although I think he did have a spin earlier in the lap as well, so that probably didn't help.
We'll have to see. Nadim, just 1.5 sectors ago, overtook It's Over 9,000 for 9th place, and now he finds himself half a second back on SeaTac just ahead of him on the DRS straight. And will he have the pace to take the position from him, or is he going to be behind a Mercedes for another sector? He's got that DRS, he has that pace, but because of that DRS for the driver ahead of him and the medium compact tyres are doing work, unfortunately cannot catch up. Mousy the Cheese, I believe, coming out of the final corner, looks to have retired after a collision on the first, on the pit straight, so unfortunately he'll be out of the race now. And all drivers on the grid now, if they finish the race, they are guaranteed to secure at least 1 point. Of course, there is that additional point for the fastest lap, and all drivers are in the perfect position to take that extra point. Of course, it's Nova 9000, and Nadim can play that team game and steal the fastest lap from their competition, Webby and Panos, ahead of them for that championship. Currently, Webby is 9 points, I believe, in the lead. Ollie, could you please confirm? But Webby's certainly in the lead. I think it's 9 or 6 points, something like that.
Here. He is 9 points in the lead.
9 points in the lead, so with only 26 points per race available, Webby has to score 16 points. 16 points and or less, and the championship fight will continue. With, of course, with Panos scoring no points. If Webby scores more points than Panos, more importantly, but scores with 17 points, he will win the championship this race. But that means Panos cannot score a point.
Oh, it's only lap 6. We will see.
We will see now as Panos has got a 4.5 second lead to Webby, and Webby's got a 4.5 second lead on Armin. There is 9 seconds from the 3rd position up to 1st. Fushy-wushy skill issue? Yeah, I mean, you said it, not me, but I agree. As now Nadim makes a move into that final corner again, now up into 6th place. Brilliant drive so far by the Aston Martin driver, and now Nero's on those soft compound tyres has had enough. He's now going for the mediums. Yeah, he's going for the 2-stop without a doubt then. But whilst Nadim may have gone ahead of Lobster, Lobster's still within DRS range. Of course, we're now a sector away from that very long DRS straight, and Nadim's now within that DRS range. So Lobster's only chance to help his teammate defend is to try and stick within that 1 second gap, become a threat to Nadim, but unfortunately now approaching into DRS detection zone, Lobster is 1.2 seconds back and Nadim is half a second away from Lewis. Nadim is on fire. This Aston Martin, are we racing F123? This Aston Martin surely is from this season, because it is flying through the grid. It is now fighting for 5th place along this DRS straight. Lewis cannot defend with much. And unfortunately now Lewis down in 6th place and Nadim is fighting back into the top 5. 2.7 seconds splits him from Denrod ahead of him. Ollie, what's your prediction now? How many laps do you think till Nadim catches up?
To Denzel?
To Denrod.
I give it lap 10.
Lap 10, I reckon it'll probably be around lap 10 as well, lap 10 or 11. As now Lewis is dropped out of that DRS zone. Lewis and Lobster, the McLaren duo, 6th and 7th. Have a quick look at the tyre life. Of course, Nero's pitting just a lap ago for the medium compound tyres, whilst the rest of the grid have not pitted since the start. Every driver, except for Nero, is going for the one-stop strategy, and we've seen, or as you explained before, that the hard to mediums did seem to work out a lot better in your favour. Of course, you do finish on the softer compounder tyre compared to the rest of the drivers around you, but then you put yourself at a disadvantage at the start of the race, because of course you lose a lot of grip compared to the mediums at the start of the race to warm up and fire up those tyres. But we say that, the hard compound tyres have clearly done wonders for the top 2, and Nadim, from starting 2nd place and now falling down to last place, and then now back up into 5th place, clearly the hard compound tyres was a very good choice for those 3 drivers. Unfortunately, Mousy the Cheese, who also pitted for those hards, has missed out. But it appears as though those hards have worked beautifully so far in this first stint, and they will finish on those mediums. They're going to have a massive pace advantage to the hard compound tyres to their competitors, but not only will have that, they'll have the less fuel, so those mediums are going to work a lot better with less weight to have to carry. And you said lap 10 for Nadim to fight for that position, and you were right, almost. No, you were wrong. We're both wrong by 1 lap. It is now lap 9. We're going to the turn 1 when Nadim had his initial collision, and he goes for an inside move with DRS very close between the 2 drivers, but he manages to keep his car well under control. Nadim now up into 4th place, 1.6 seconds behind his teammate for next season. There are no team orders between the 2. Of course, they are 2 different constructors fighting for position. But Nadim will now have to fight his soon-to-be teammate for next season. Now, this is interesting. This is Armin's like Vettel in this scenario. He went from Ferrari to Aston Martin, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So now, just at the start of this lap, Nadim fought Denrod, aka Denzel, and took the position from him. Denzel does have the DRS, he is trying to fight back. But now we're approaching into the third sector for the 10th lap, and Nadim is already within that 1 second boundary for DRS to the driver ahead of him. What on earth have they put into that fuel tank for the Aston Martin? Because it is on fire.
Bit of inside information.
Go
I
on.
think the pit window for the medium runners will be between lap 12 and 14. That's when everyone seems to pit off the mediums in tier 3 last night. And then hards will be about lap 16.
Interesting. So you said, what was it? 12 to 14 for mediums.
The medium, yes.
So they've got themselves at least another 2 laps to go before they need to consider pitting. As now Nadim's going for a move into the first sector. Into the second sector, sorry. That was incredible. Nadim now up into 3rd place in 10 laps after spinning on the first lap. Not even the first lap, the first corner of this race. And Nadim is back onto the podium steps. And he overtook Armin in a position I never would have expected. That is impressive driving by the Aston Martin team principal even. And now he's got 8 seconds to Webby ahead. This is going to be close. The only 3 hard compound runners in the race are now on the podium steps at the moment. And the Deem has got 8 seconds to catch if he needs to get to Webby and help his teammate win this race. Webby's not even my driver, but I'm terrified now. I'm afraid, because Nadim is storming through the grid, as now Armin has retired from the race! Armin coming through that quick right-hander, I believe has lost his car, coming into that corner, and has now retired from the session. There's his car on the left-hand side, he came spinning around, you can see his front right tyre is gone. Armin, reserving for Ferrari, is out of the session. And now 9 drivers remain from the starting 12, all still within the point finishing positions. What on earth is going on? SeaTac Pulse just 0.2 seconds behind Lobster. Lobster now under threat again from a driver behind. He's got DRS soon into the 3rd sector if he keeps it up, unless he can make the move beforehand. We've seen Nadim do it once, and they get very close. And the Mercedes does touch the rear car of Lobster. It's over 9,000, also just outside of 1 second. If he can get within 1 second before the DRS detection zone, which is right there. Fortunately, not inside that 1 second, but SeaTac will certainly have DRS now coming along this this back straight, sorry. Downhill, and then the blind uphill towards the 3rd sector now. SeaTac 0.2 behind, but unfortunately, is he close enough? He looks to be close enough. He's going side by side into the braking zone. He does have the inside line. It is a close fight between the two. Very clean fight between the two, and now SeaTac finds his way up into a position. Lobster still fighting with that inside line, but unfortunately not close enough to keep that position. SeaTac, beautiful overtake by the Mercedes driver, and unfortunately McLaren has lost just 1 position in this sector so far, but I think is potentially going to lose another position to It's Over 9,000 just before, collecting positions from the scraps ahead of him. Coming down towards the main straight, It's Over 9,000 will have the DRS advantage over its Lobster. It's Lobster? Over Lobster, sorry. Now going up the hill into the first corner, are we going to see the Alfa Romeo take the position, or will Lobster continue to hold on to it? And so far, Lobster will stay in 7th place.
And interestingly, there's a big ERS difference between Lobster and Over 9,000. Lobster with 14%, Over 9,000 with 75%.
75, wow, impressive. Back to the front of the grid though, when we last looked at this fight, Webby was 7.5 seconds behind Panos, and Nadim was also 7.5 seconds behind Webby. Now it's 9.5 and 6. So Nadim has caught up a 1.5 in the past 2 laps, whilst Webby unfortunately has lost 2 seconds to Panos ahead of him. It's almost 5-second intervals for the whole lot, except for Webby to Panos, because we got 6 seconds for Denrod to Nadim, as It's Over 9,000 finally makes that move around Lobster, now up into 7th place. Lobster losing out on 2 positions along the same straight in 2 laps back-to-back. SeaTac now the second to fall victim to track limits around the circuit of the Americas. But we've got 9.5 seconds, call it 10 seconds from first to second, 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 7, 4, and then a fight for 6th place between 3 cars. It now all comes down to strategies. If we see the Mercedes as SeaTac, he's gone in the pits. Is that pit window open now for laps 12 to 14, as Ollie has mentioned, for those medium combat tyres? So now SeaTac will be going for those hards. There they are. And we'll be going to the end of the race. Now, can he get an incredible outlap and be able to catch his competitors ahead of him? Has he gone for an undercut or an overcut? We'll have to see to the drivers around him now as we go with, I don't know, let's go with Lobster. There's no fight currently on the track because everyone's so far apart. This track, where's the fighting? Give us more fighting, Kota. Unfortunately, it is now that quite a quiet stage in the race, but there's not a lot to talk about because it is now the pit window is open for those mediums. We've got 4 drivers currently: Denrod, Lewis, It's Over 9,000, and Lobster, who started on those mediums and are now looking to finish on those mediums. We do have a yellow flag in the second sector for SeaTac, unfortunately, after pitting for those hards. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much time to the drivers ahead of him. But of course, pit window is open for all of these drivers on the mediums, whereas the hards, what was it, Ollie, you said 15 to 18, was it?
I think it opens 16.
16 to 18, as now Lewis has gone in the pits, first of the 2 McLarens. So we've still got 3 laps or more. Well, in fact, we're going for a McLaren's double stack. Double stack. 79,000 in the pits. There's Lewis in the background. Perfect stop, hopefully. Can the crew? He's lost about 0.1 of a second there, possibly. But still a very good double stack by the 2. So now it is down to just 1 driver left on those mediums who needs to pit in the next few laps. Well, I say needs to pit. Preferably would probably pit in the next few laps, otherwise his tyres are going to lose a lot of grip. Nero's pitted after 7 laps. He started on the soft compound tyres and has opted for the 2-stop strategy. So I have to see how that goes for him. He's currently up into 5th place, so far it's doing some great work for the Alpine driver, and unfortunately we lost his teammate at the start of this race after a collision involved Nadim, who is now 5 seconds behind Webby ahead of him, 4.8 now. So he is rapidly closing that gap down as Webby finds himself 10 seconds behind Panos. Only 2 drivers so far have have received 3-second time penalties due to track limits. Track limit warnings will only give you 3-second time penalties, which cannot be served in the pits, can only be served at the end of the race. Fushiwashi, I'm not sure. I think it was between you and Nadim, where the 2 of you collided, and Nadim also spun out, but he managed to keep going with no damage, fortunately, and has now climbed his way back up to 3rd place. But it was certainly one of the Alpines, but I think it was you, because you qualified ahead, weren't you? No, you qualified back. Maybe it was Nero's, I don't know. But it was certainly an Alpine that had been involved in the incident. But as I was saying, the 3-second time penalties cannot be served in the pits. Even if you stack them up to get a combination of 5 or 10 plus second penalties, they have to be individual penalties of 5 or 10 seconds to be served in the pits. So unfortunately, Denrod and SeaTac will have to try and build up a gap of 3 or more seconds at the moment to the drivers behind them to be able to soften the blow of that 3-second penalty. Now as we go down that back straight, Denrod's still out on those mediums. He's not pitted for those hards yet, and I'm impressed that he's managed to keep up so far with the drivers ahead of him, relatively speaking. As Nadim falls into the 3.8 seconds. I'm a bit worried for your driver there, Ollie. As Nadim now pits, he is getting rid of those hard compound tyres now and is going for the softs. Is he going for an undercut? We'll have to see. He's going to have to go, 13 laps on those mediums, which we know can work. I mean, Denrod's a perfect example of those tyres, as now Denrod decides to pit for those hard compound tyres. So Denrod with 9 seconds and 14 seconds behind him will find himself down into, I believe, 6th, maybe 7th place when he comes out of the pits. We'll have to see now. Here comes Lewis down the main straight. In fact, I think Lewis won't be close enough. So Denrod's only lost 1 position from that pit. So far, he's got a brilliant strategy to find himself strong, in a very strong position for points for his team now. Nero's ahead of him, pitting 9 laps ago. He will have to pit in the next 5 to 8 laps before the end of the race. Of course, we've got 12 laps to go, so if he manages to bring those mediums to the end of the race, then, kudos to him. Those tyres, I don't know how he's managed to do that. But with Nadim now, this is his outlap. After pitting from those hard compound tyres, he was 4 seconds behind Webby. He is now 22 seconds behind Webby. And of course, he's got the faster compound tyres to the driver ahead of him. So he is now fighting for second place. There goes Webby into the pit. 21.8 seconds was the gap to Nadim behind. Will it be enough, or will Webby lose out the position to the Aston Martin driver? We'll have to see now as he goes into his pit box. There are the medium tyres. Aston Martin coming round the final corner. He is coming across the line now, but I think Webby has had just enough time behind him to still come out. There he is in the corner of your screen. Webby still maintains second place, but will have colder tyres, much colder tyres than Nadim, whereas Nadim has had a lap to fire those up. Now Panos is a whole pit stop clear of Webby behind, which at this rate will still keep the championship fight going on to next week, which will be racing at Mexico. Now Nadim within 1 second. He's got the purple first sector so far. Webby's still having to fire up those tyres, and hopefully has managed to do it now before we get to the DRS straight. And now Nadim is nearly within half a second now, and he will have that DRS. If we have a look at telemetry at the moment, Webby has 60% ERS, whereas Nadim only has 17, so he will have the DRS advantage. But will he have that pace advantage? We'll have to see now. 3.5 tenths behind. He was looking for a move. Unfortunately, he's not close enough just yet, pardon me, for a move. God, I really hope I don't get hiccups now. I'm going to be cursed with hiccups now. Webby and Nadim are not going to let me drop this. Now as Nadim puts in a purple middle sector, currently on track for a new fastest lap of the session. As Nadim is spun! Coming out of the second to final corner, Nadim was so close. And unfortunately, he had a snap of what looked to be oversteer and lost the rear end, spinning him all the way around. And now Nero's is 4.5 seconds behind. Nero's pitting, in fact. So Nadim has got a massive comfort pillow of space behind him before the risk of losing a position. But now what was just half a second behind Webby is now 7.5 seconds. But whilst that is a huge gap, 7 seconds lost, we've seen Nadim already on the hard compound tyres after being involved in an incident on the first lap in the first corner, that he has that pace to push it. So I cannot imagine this fight over just yet. I reckon it'll probably be around lap 22, maybe 23 at the latest, before we have another fight for second place now, as Webby is slowly chipping time off of that gap to Panos, but still 30 seconds ahead. Panos comfortably in the lead. I mean, Panos is well enough in the lead, he could go for a one-stop to softs, to be honest, if he goes on for another 3 or 4 laps. And I think we might see our first hard to softs pit strategy for the session. Or for the evening, or the afternoon, rather. God, I really am losing track of time. Slightly further back, we got It over 9000 all over the gearbox of Nero's ahead of him. Nero's having just pitted for his second stint. Now onto those medium compound tyres. It over 9000 pitting 4 laps ago for the second stint of his strategy, which is the hard compound tyres. Opposite strategy to his teammate to avoid any double stacks, mistakes or issues. Good afternoon, Sonic. How are you doing? Did not expect to see you here. Fortunately, though, Insover 9000 has lost that gain he had on Nero's and is now out of that 1 second gap and will no longer have DRS. Of course, Nero's will have that pace advantage, those mediums, especially now with so much depleted fuel. The mediums will have a huge pace advantage over those hard compound tyres, and that gap will surely increase. Slightly further ahead, though, as I mentioned before, Webby is cutting that time down. He's now cut it down by 1.5 seconds, down to Panos, 27.6, and Nadim cut it down by 0.7 now to 6.5 even, to Webby ahead of him. So we certainly will have a fight very soon, but I think now at this rate, with only 8 laps to go, Panos is definitely going for a one-stop to softs. So that's going to be interesting to see, because I have this funny feeling that whilst it may be a brilliant strategy, he does have that time. Could we have almost like Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone a couple years ago, where he had that front left puncture? Because those hards surely must be in the 60% region by now. I'm not too bad, Sonic. I'm enjoying this race so far, but unfortunately, as much as I want to, as a Ferrari team principal, I want to see Webby win this race. As a commentator, I'm glad to see Webby not winning this race, because this fight continues on to Mexico next week. I'm sorry, Ollie, but I want Panos to win. I want this fight to keep going.
Fine,
If anything, if anything, I want them to score. I want Panos to score enough points and Webby to score enough points that they level out, which I think it might. He's on line to score 25 points. Second place gets what, 18 points?
Yep.
So it'll be down to 2 points in the final race.
1 point if Panos gets fastest lap.
1 point indeed, and I think that's probably why he's going for those for the softs at the end of the race. Yeah. He has to take that fastest lap and cut that gap down, and it'll come down to the fact of who's going to have the fastest lap almost in the final race next week to basically win the race. Nadim or It over 9000 could be the reason that one or the other wins, because obviously they can pit on the final couple laps to take the fastest lap, as now Nero's takes 5th place from Lewis ahead of him. Those medium compound tyres, that 2-stop has worked out brilliantly for the Alpine driver. Only 4.5 seconds behind Denrod, who not only has the hard compound tyres, but he also has that 3-second time penalty to serve at the end of the race. Nero's, I think, is easy. He could quite possibly finish this race in 4th place. I think it's definitely on the table.
Yeah, which is impressive considering he's doing he's done a 2-stop.
Indeed. And now as we approach into lap 21, or I say approach into lap 21, approach into lap 21 sector 3 for Panos, Nadim, I said Nadim would catch up, what, lap 23? 22, 23 would catch up to Webby? Yep. I was sorely mistaken. It is now coming up to 22, and Nadim is still 5.5 seconds back. Could that spin be the reason that Nadim cannot secure a 1-2? There are still 7 laps remaining, so there is still nothing set in stone. But it could be. That spin could be similar to that of Lewis Hamilton at Baku in the 2021 season. The one race that could have secured victory.
Anything can happen.
Anything could happen. And yeah, Ollie is alive.
Yeah,
Sonic, I'm surprised as well. Ollie's alive.
Why are you surprised?
He's commentating as well with me, which is even more surprising.
Hey, I did a lot earlier in the season.
You did like 2 races with me, and then you kind of got busy playing other video games. Which is fair enough, but, you know.
But I'm back.
Webby now 24 seconds. So, as far as I'm aware, I think it's about 22 seconds you lose when you pit. As Nadim has got 3-second time penalty. Now Nadim has potentially thrown away, that second place finish. So an Aston Martin 1-2 is becoming more and more unlikely by the second if Nadim cannot catch the driver ahead of him. But as I was mentioning, I believe it's 22 seconds for a pit stop, and Panos is at 24.5 seconds. There goes Panos into the pits. 6 laps to go. He's going to go for the soft compound tyres. No more than 20 seconds. Well, we have to see now. Can Webby put in one hell of a lap now and try and catch up? And can Panos not warm up his tyres well enough? Then again, they are the softs. They're piss easy to warm up. It's a skill issue if you can't. But can Webby fight it back? Or is Panos, and I reckon Panos has got this comfortably in the bag at the moment, but can Panos just pull away with those softs with no issue at all? As now Nadim is 4.5 seconds back, and Webby is 5.5 seconds back to the drivers ahead of them respectively. A 30-second gap between Nadim and Denrod. Nadim can still, not that he needs to, pit for those soft compound tyres at the end of the race if he wanted to at no loss of his own. Okay, so it's about 17 seconds, is what Cthulhu's saying. That would make sense. He was 23 seconds ahead of Webby. He's now 5 seconds ahead of Webby. So 17 makes sense. Makes sense. But now, Nero's is 1.6 seconds back with only 5 laps to go. Denrod still has those 3 seconds of time penalties to serve at the end of the race. Nero's is currently on track to secure that 4th place, either on track or after penalties. He just has to keep it tidy.
I have to say, it's been a fantastic drive from Nero's.
That's an impressive drive. I never thought the 2-stop would work as well as it has. And that isn't the only fight on track right now, as we've got It Over 9000 1.8 seconds behind Lewis, while still just under 2 seconds away, still 4 laps to go. So I have to see if the Alfa Romeo driver can catch up. We can't see if anyone's close to a 3-second time penalty. We can only see if people have received a 3-second time penalty without looking into the race director, which we won't. Or at least I won't on stream. Fortunately, the only information we can give is what penalties people have. And it is 3 seconds for Nadim, 3 seconds for Denrod, and 6 for SeaTac, currently, unfortunately, in last place, but still securing some points for himself and for the team.
The C-Tuck's gone into the pits.
Could he be going for softs as well? Try and steal that fastest lap from Panos? Could he do it
Maybe.
and ruin the championship fight that's completely out of his... not even on his table in terms of what trouble he needs to cause. What's the word I'm trying to think of? That's definitely not what I'm looking for. But is he about to cause trouble? I think is what I'm trying to say. And now Panos coming across the line. He's got 2 seconds up. Fastest lap of 1:35.1. That is the time to beat for SeaTac after this outlap. Can SeaTac ruin Panos' day and make the gap between Webby and Panos in the championship go from 1 second to 1 point to 2 points because one Mercedes driver wanted to secure that 1 extra point for himself? We'll have to wait and see at least a minute before he crosses the line to start his hot lap. Nearest now half a second back. Denrod going very wide at that corner there. And now Nero's all over the gearbox. He's going to have DRS coming along this pit straight. Going up the hill. He's got a brilliant exit out of that final corner. Denrod has got nothing to defend with. Up the hill though, Nero's isn't close enough. He does look to the inside, but unfortunately, isn't quite close enough, nor had the pace to be able to make the move just yet. Of course, there is 3 laps to go. He's still all over that gearbox of the Haas ahead of him, and he still has 1 massive DRS straight as Nero's now gets a 3-second time penalty and is down to on-track position for 4th place. Nero's has to do it now. He's got 3 laps to take the position and make the 2 stop. Help him finish in 4th place or forever remain in 5th place. And unfortunately, I don't think that will be the case coming around that corner for DRS. He's got 3.5 tenths behind. He's got DRS wide open now. He's not deploying ERS though, which is surprising, but he is going to make the move. He's looking for a move down the inside. Into the braking zone. He's not close enough, but he does have his tyre there. I think there was contact between the two. I can't quite tell. I mean, certainly no one walked away with damage, but Nero's unfortunately walking away from the incident with the position still not in his hand. He's 0.4 behind. Hopefully those tyres are not burnt out. With 2 laps to go, they surely would have the pace still. And now coming towards the final corner, he will have DRS though. He will not be as close as he once was 1 lap ago.
This is going to get spicy.
This indeed will get spicy now. 0.2 behind, 0.4 behind. He goes for a move down the inside. Denrod going very wide out of that corner. Nero's almost going too wide. They are going too wide into this first sector now. And Nero's, just like Nadim on lap, I think it was 12. Nero's is up into 4th place in a very risky position, but he managed to pull it off, and that was brilliant. I did not expect that to work. I mean, I didn't think Nadim could make it. So now that 2-stop strategy has done wonders for Nero. So let's have a look at the position change. He's qualified in 6th place and has now found himself up into 4th place, in contention for a possible podium had the time gap not been 35 seconds. But still an impressive climb for the Alpine driver now, as Nadim, with only 2 laps to go, is 1.7 seconds behind Webby. Of course, he has that 3-second time penalty to still serve at the end of the race. So whilst he may gain an on-track position on Webby, he will still lose it after penalties and secure a 3rd place victory. So 1-2 for Aston Martin, unfortunately, at the moment, is completely off of the table with that 3-second time penalty. Now coming into that hairpin at the 2nd DRS straight, Nadim is now 1.2 seconds back. I reckon this time next lap, he will certainly be within DRS range and fighting for second place for that on-track victory over Webby. And I think you can agree with me here. I think Nadim, whilst It's Over 9000 has climbed a lot of positions, I think Nadim has to take driver of the day for me. Because he went from a lap 1 incident that put him at the back of the grid. He stuck with his strategy and he pushed the absolute limits of his car to the point where he even spun. And he still comes back to come across the line for the last lap of the race within a second of his competitor in second place.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic drive from Nadim. An absolutely incredible comeback from, he was what, in last place at one point?
Indeed. And that's not the only fight as well. I've just noticed Denrod, although he's lost position to Nero's ahead of him, he's still half a second back. And of course they both have 3-second time penalties. So it's a matter of who's ahead will take the position. So we have 2 battles now to the line. As now Neros and Denrod round the final corner will finish their 27th lap and now are on the final lap of the race. But unfortunately, Denrod now 1.4, 1.5 seconds behind Nero's. I think he's now completely out of that DRS zone unless Nero's makes a mistake ahead of him. And the only fight now to watch is, will Nadim have the bragging rights to say, I went from second to last to second without excluding penalties to be able to make that comeback? Will he be able to take that position? But now, as we go with Panos, he is rounding the second to final corner. Now rounding the final corner, Panos crosses the line. Oh, is he going to give us a bit of a burnout? He's going to give us a donut across the line. Panos across the line wins the COTA, the American Grand Prix. Going for a one-stop from hards to softs. And there goes Webby and Nadim. Nadim half a second back, but of course he's got that 3-second time penalty, so unfortunately finds himself 3.5 seconds back from Webby ahead of him. Neros and Denrod still fighting, although only 1.6 seconds behind. Still fighting into this third sector now. Still a lot can happen, as we've mentioned before during qualifying. You know, drivers have been spinning through that corner, so their potential is still there. But we'll have to see now as Nero comes around the final corner. He has secured himself that 4th place. The 2-stop has done wonders for him, and now finds himself in a very strong points finishing position. Lewis, unfortunate that he is moved a couple positions down, I believe. No, he's gone up by 3 positions, but he did lose 2 positions in one lap, which is very unfortunate to see. But the strategy was not in their favor, and now Lewis is in 6th place. Still strong points for the team. It's Over 9000 in 7th place, still scoring more points for Alfa Romeo. But I think, unfortunately, whilst it may have been about a 20-point gap between Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo in terms of constructors, I think with It's Over 9000 in 7th place, this might have secured the Constructors' Championship for Aston Martin. We'll have to look at the results afterwards. But my maths could be very wrong, but I trust myself a little bit to say that I think Aston Martin might have won this in terms of Constructors. Ollie, could you have a quick look at the gap between the 2 teams, please? I think it is 21 or 22 points. If it's 20 plus, I think Aston Martin have taken the Constructors' Championship.
It is exactly 20.
So exactly 20 points, and I think they have taken that victory over Alfa Romeo in the Constructors. And now let us hope that, of course, this is only COTA this week, but I would like to hope that, you know, Alfa Romeo do have a good fighting chance next week. But what a race that was. I mean, I am impressed with some of the strategies that people came out with. I'm stunned that some of those strategies even worked, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got
Well, it's
no
not.
words. I'm lost for words to describe that race, but I think it was certainly a lot of fun to see how well people coped in all of that situation, in all those different situations. But unfortunately, we did lose 4 drivers. Fushy Wushy at the start of the race, Mousy the Cheese in the first few laps as well. Armin coming out of the second sector towards the right, long right-hander, losing his rear end and spinning into the wall, and Lobster finally as well retiring. So unfortunately, those 4 drivers were out of the race. But still, 8 drivers started the race. Sorry, 12 drivers started the race, and 8 crossed the line to finish the race in spectacular fashion, all scoring points. And unfortunately, SeaTac, pitting for those softs at the end of the race, could not set the fastest lap. No worries, SeaTac. I assumed as much, that you took the wrong team by accident. But no worries. I remembered that you were a Williams driver. It happens. Right, we only have a handful of time. We've got about 20 minutes, maybe less, before tier 1. So let's try and get these interviews done as soon as we can. So our race winner was Panos, and then we had Webby in second place, and the team in third place. So let's get our race winner in here, along with his team principal. Panos, that was an incredible drive. You were 30 seconds ahead, and you decided to go for a hard to soft strategy. That was very brave. How was that race for you?
The race was pretty good for myself. I mean, I have to feel for Nadim though for getting spun out in the first corner. We were both pretty equal on pace, so would have had a great battle, the two of us together. But sadly, he got taken out. My race, Bobby overtook me in the first corner, and I knew it would be crucial to get him back as soon as possible because I had more pace, and I had pretty high wings as well. So which I did as well. So yeah, then managed to get out of his DRS when it got activated, and then just managed the whole race pretty much. I had a pretty big gap, so I reckoned why not go hard soft and just be sure to get the fastest lap.
How the tires must have been crying at the end of that.
Yeah,
What were their percentages?
I think there were somewhere like 80. At one point, I got a heart attack because I thought I got a puncture just when I crossed the line in my in lap.
Oh no!
But yeah, that was because I turned off my ERS and the car started slowing down. So I got scared because I thought I got a puncture, but in the end I didn't.
Oh no! And Nadim, as a team principal, before we come to your race as team principal, you must be absolutely proud of your driver. I mean, now with that race win, and with that 1 point secured from Foss's lap, that gap for the Drivers' Championship next week is now 1 point. Webby has a 1 point lead over Panos. How was that race for you as a team principal?
I mean, it's amazing. Really, really happy, really proud of Panos. I know he can do it. So yeah, we wait and see for the last race, see what happens.
And how was that race for you? I mean, you got very close. You got involved in an incident with an Alpine at the very start of the race, which no doubt I would assume that the stewards will probably have to have a look at. But then you managed to make one hell of a comeback. I mean, what have you put rocket fuel in your car? Because you went from second to last to third, and unfortunately, you had that spin coming towards the end of one of the laps, coming close to Webby as well. How was that race for you?
A roller coaster of emotions. Lap 1, turn 1. I was ready for a good battle with Panos, but that quickly changed after the incident, and I knew, okay, let me put on my focus on, it's hammer time, and I had some brilliant overtakes. I had to overtake almost everybody. Then again at the end, unfortunate for that spin, but my pace was insane, so I was catching Webby. I tried my best, but yeah, unfortunately got a little bit too close. Derriere definitely didn't help either. I tried to come back at the end, but I got that 3 second and I was pushing a little bit too much. But nevertheless, podium or nothing for me, I guess. Still on that record. So yeah, it's definitely it's okay, but definitely not how I wanted this one to go.
And very quickly, you went for an overtake that I never thought I'd ever see work out, but you made an overtake on Armin, going into that quickly swifting left, right in the first sector. I mean, what was going through your head to be able to think that making that move would have been worth it? Because of course, if you both had tangled in that position, you'd be both out of the race.
I mean, I just had to push it. I just had to give it everything. I wasn't looking of a potential incident. I was so much in the zone that I took every single opportunity I had to overtake on everybody. Every single move was just I stick it down the inside, and I know I had a lot of more grip. You know, it worked. I had a really nice overtake on the Inzel as well. I think throughout the race, I think I probably gave the most entertaining part of the thing.
I mean,
was
without
just-
without a doubt. I mean, I think we had a few overtakes from Nero as well. Nero's being the only driver to have opted for a 2-stop strategy and finished in 4th place.
But
So-
not only that, and now the title for the constructors is
If my
looking to be
maths,
secured.
I think if my math is right, I think you as Aston Martin
I
have
think-
secured it this race.
No, I think what is the situation here is I calculated it. We basically need to not score any points the last race, and they have to get a 1-2 to be able to win the championship.
So it is possible still.
It is possible, but the chances of that are like
No, I'm gonna
I
hold out.
mean-
I'm gonna hold out hopes for my sister team. Not being biased, but you know, I have to have hope for them. We'll have to see going into
yeah.
next round. I will have to cut this short because we've only
Yeah.
got 18 minutes till tier 1. So thank you for joining. Thank you for
No
a
problem.
very exciting race, and I certainly do look forward to see what Aston Martin have in store for us at Mexico. So now let's get our second place winner in here, Mr. Webby. That was an incredible race. I mean, that start of the race, you qualified, what was it, in 3rd place, and then in one corner, you were leading the race. How was that race for you? How was that start of the race, in fact?
Yeah, pretty happy with qualifying. Yeah, I feel like I maybe could have got P2, but I mean I would have been pushing the limits a bit too hard. The start of the race, I actually thought I cut the time because I accidentally lifted my off my gear, off my accelerator, sorry. And I thought I got a drive through or something, but it was perfect timing that when I did lift, the lights went out, so I got a pretty good start. Obviously cut them both, got into P1, but my god, Panos is just so fast. I think he did have a better setup than me. I think I maybe was too low on the wings. Felt good in practice, the pace felt good, but obviously against drivers that level, maybe higher wings was maybe the choice to go. But happy with the result, P2. Nadeem was scaring me a little bit. I was pretty happy, a little celebration when he did spin, and a little laugh. But yeah, I do feel for him a little bit because his pace was probably the fastest out on track today.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, with that race victory as well for Aston Martin and the 1-3 for them, I think the maths came out that you as Alfa Romeo need to score a 1-2 next week to win the Constructors, and you and Panos go into a battle with only a 1-point difference with you in the lead for the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be literally whoever finishes in first, really, isn't it? It's going to be whoever just finishes in front is going to gain it, unless we're 9th and 10th. But yeah, I can't see that happening. If we're 9th and 10th.
Realistically, I agree with you.
Yeah. But no, happy with it. P2 is kind of the target. P2 was the target. The best was obviously first, and the worst was third for me. But yeah, happy with that.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for an incredible race. I mean, qualifying was amazing to watch. It was proper hand in mouth. Who's gonna come out on top? But
Yeah, I do want to give a little shout out to over 9000. He did help me in down the straights. Yeah, he said he mucked up his laps a few times, so just kind of just compromised his whole session just to make sure he could give me a bit of slip if he was there and available. So I just want to give a massive pat on
we
the
did
back to
see
him.
that. Oh, it was very interesting to see because you were the only team to have that team coordination for qualifying. So it's definitely a very exciting to see. Is Ollie here, Ollie?
I am.
Can we have a team principal interview before we head off now?
Yeah.
How's that race for you? I mean, your driver is now still 1 point ahead in the Drivers' Championship as we go into the final round.
Yeah, it's going down to the last round. It's gonna be nerve-wracking next week. But yeah, it was a good race. Very good race. And to see the teamwork between over 9000 and Webby in qualifying was really nice to see.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that race. Ollie, I think you enjoyed it as well, didn't you?
I did.
So thank you for joining us, Webby.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for the interview. And I will see you in like 20 minutes for Tier 1.
Yeah, I'll see you in 20 minutes.
And that will conclude Tier 2. I didn't change the screen to Alfa Romeo, that's my bad. But that's Tier 2. We will have to cut it here because I only have 13 minutes before the briefing starts for Tier 1. And I certainly want to go stretch my legs for a bit. So thank you everyone for joining me. Unfortunately, we haven't got a lot of time left to be able to interview anymore. So I'm sorry. But please don't go anywhere. We do have Tier 1 just around the corner. We've got Tier 1 is our no assist league. The only assist enabled is manual gearing with suggested gears and racing line enabled for this season and for next season. So by far one of our most competitive tiers in our league. So please don't go anywhere for that. And we do also have our 2020 league running at the same time, unfortunately though, and that will not be streamed. If you wish to join any of our races or any of our league races, or even just want to say hi to the community, feel free to join the Discord. If you scroll down slightly, you'll see a panel for the Discord invite link. Just click on the panel and you'll be thrown to Discord to join the server. I have been Darkness, Ollie has been my co-commentator, and thank you for joining.